I've been thinking a lot recently about our society and what we tell our kids. And one of the things that hits me most is why do we tell our kids to start here, get here, and do all of that in a linear fashion when the people that we look up to most, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the leaders, they start here and they get up there, but their road goes something like this? It doesn't make sense to me. A lot of the reason I'm here, even on this stage on this red dot, is because of the failures of my past and the uncertainty that I've had to deal with and navigate to get here. See, a couple years ago, it was a bright, sunny morning in College Park, Maryland. I just graduated from the University of Maryland, and all of my friends were excited to finish up, to start their new job, the first day of the rest of their life. But here I was, uncertain. See, I'd done 4 years of hard work. I'd done everything that people told me to, community service, activities on campus, working to get good grades, internships, and yet I had no job. Tons of debt and no money to pay it off. Just when I thought I had all the answers, the questions got flipped. I was broken. I was distraught. I was worried. Man, it was tough. And I'm sure many of us have been in that situation. The hardest day of our life, the most difficult time of our professional career. The day when we sit there and think, what was all this for? See, as I was sitting there thinking these things, the thing that got me by and the thing that kept me from shutting down was my mom. I love my mom. I'm sure a lot of y'all love your parents too. See, my mom has a really unique and crazy, amazing story. She migrated to America in her 20s. The immigrant story, $2, flies into JFK, somebody picks her up from the family, doesn't know what's happening next. I'm sure she felt on that day a lot like I did the day after college. But see, my mom taught me perseverance, because when I was a kid, I would sit at home waiting for her to get home from double shifts. She would work day and night, 2 jobs, come home at 11 o'clock, and I'd be sitting there crawling next to the doorway just waiting. And sometimes I would just have to hear the garage open to feel safe and comfortable enough to go to sleep. Sometimes I'd fall asleep right there against the door, and she'd pick me up, give me a kiss, and put me to bed. I felt safe with my mom. She protected me from my community, but most of all, she protected me from my dad. See, my dad was really abusive, and he hurt all of us, my sister, my mom, and I. But my mom got it the worst. You should never have to deal with domestic violence as a woman. My mom was able to survive domestic violence. And while doing so, she continued to give back to her community. Every morning on Sunday, she'd shake me. Come on, it's time for church. Oh, Mom, I want to go to sleep. No, it's time for church. And she'd be there 7:30 in the morning at Sunday school, ready to teach other people's kids. Every time somebody needed a ride to get somewhere, to accomplish one of their goals, to do something they wanted to do, she'd be there to take them there. Whenever somebody needed her, she was there. And the thing I remember most of all of it from my mom, the thing that confused me as a kid, was when we were broke, dead broke, because I knew it. She'd talk to me how broke we were. She would have an envelope with cash in it, just lined up. And I'd ask her where it's going, and she'd say, I'm just taking it to a friend. But I knew where it was going. She was taking it to single moms that needed help to make ends meet. We were dead broke, but she was still helping people in the community. And at that time, I didn't understand it, but now it's something that I've come to appreciate so much. And through it, she's imprinted something on me that makes me consider my community. And through any difficulty that we have, I remember that the thing that's most important is that we hold the people up around us. Because what are we without community? We wither. So in that day, I'm sitting there. It's the day after college. I'm broken, and I'm thinking about my mom, and she's powering me through it. So I start reaching out to folks. Now, employers might not have seen my worth, but 4 years of community service and campus involvement made me a lot of good friends, people that cared about their community and cared about me. So I started reaching out. Hundreds of emails and Facebook messages later, I ended up at an organization called Starting Block. See, Starting Block is a group of social innovators and entrepreneurs, people that believe business can play a better role in society, and that impact and business don't have to be divorced. I think that's really exciting. So I applied, was accepted to the fellowship program, and through it, I met a tribe of folks that saw the world in a lens that I agreed with. A group of people that believed we could make the world better through an industry. The people there were phenomenal, they had great ideas, and they were exceptional. In fact, one of the folks there pitched me on his company. He'd learned about all the stuff that I'd worked on back in college, and he saw value in it when none of these employers did, which was pretty cool for me because I thought I was pretty cool. So he pitched me, I liked the idea, and I decided I would sign up to be a founder. I mean, I was broke, I had a bunch of loans to pay off, and no way to pay them anyway, so why not, right? Our founder story was exciting. I was managing a team in New York, from New York, down in Florida, building a product every day, endless hours. I mean, everything you heard about startups, blood, sweat, and tears, we were doing it. And we were doing it in a distributed fashion, so we were just on messaging services, doing task management online. It was wild. It was so cool. I loved it. I loved every minute of it, and it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, build a company. It was exciting to go and fly into North Carolina to our first client, ready to pitch our company and make our first sale. I remember touching down. I remember the excitement that I had. I remember the sun, the breeze, the ribs. They're really good in North Carolina. See, we pitched our client, and he loved the company so much that he made an acquisition offer. He said he wanted to buy us out right there. How exciting, at 21. But I said no. I remember that uncertainty the day after college. I wanted to build this thing. I was passionate about it. It had become not just my pet project, but it had become my baby. Everything that I have went into that thing. Everyone that I knew about this thing. Anyone that I could engage to help us was helping us. So I said no, and instead we integrated and started to work towards helping them on their enterprise goals. It was exciting, and now we built out our capacity in North Carolina. So now I'm in New York, managing a team in North Carolina and in Florida, flying all over the place, moving about, being an entrepreneur and doing all that founder stuff that we hear about. I was tired of it after a few weeks. I was just bruised and broken, and I love it, but I knew I needed to take a break. There was no way I could go from being that pitfall kid at the bottom of the totem pole the day after graduation to being someone who resembled successful and not take it in. So I took a couple weeks to go back to my motherland, to go back to India, a place that I come from but is very foreign to me. I flew into Indira Gandhi Airport in Delhi. I was excited to be there. The smells, the sounds, everything was just India. It was great, so different. One morning I wake up, pop open my laptop, sign into Gmail, and while I'm doing it, I remember I heard the roosters crowing outside, the cars moving about, the animals just walking through the streets. You hear all that, a perfect, proper Indian morning. And there it is, an email from my co-founder. We'll call him John. Hey, Marvin, I sold the company. Thanks for all your help. Peace. What? My baby, my bread and butter, pulled out from right under me. I was so devastated. I was so angry. I remember my aunt walked in, and she just saw my face was just flushed. I was sitting there, and she said, like, what's wrong? And I didn't even know how to put it into words. I couldn't even tell my aunt. How could I go back and tell my mom? How could I go back and tell my community, my friends, my family, the people that helped us to get here? So instead, I decided I'd stay in India, and I'd work on something that I knew well, which is social impact. See, in college down in Maryland, I went down to DC because I wanted to maximize impact. I thought that if someone can write a bill and sign in healthcare for all Americans, why couldn't I do that to help people like my mom have better lives? So I went down to DC with this intention, but when I got there, I found a different world. I found a world where government stifled itself and where nonprofits were structured to be ineffective because they're so dependent on donors, and donors only want to fund the sexy things. It was tough for me. And being in India, I remembered that because for the next 6 months, I would work with nonprofits day in and day out, working around India every morning, remembering that we could be more impactful. How do we use some core business principles? And it ate at me until the day that I decided I'd go back home to New York because I needed to make an impact, I needed to make a difference, and New York seemed to be the only place that could help me do it in that moment. So I fly back into New York, I touch down, much like my mom did when she started her journey some 25 odd years ago in the JFK airport. I get off, uncertain as hell about whatever it is, but knowing that being in India taught me two things. One, that I really love making an impact, and two, that business matters to me, and that it's a real way to take these things forward. And with that in my mind, I went out and searched for things that I can do. talking to all the friends that I'd engaged through college, all the friends that I made through Starting Block. And they brought me to a really cool agency, one of the #1 agencies in the world, in fact. P.S. This is a story I haven't told anyone. I got there excited because the agency was innovative. It's all the flash words you could possibly think of. It's a job that I would have loved a day after college. That kid, the day after college, that Marvin, he would have loved to be in that situation. Good pay, good work, they had ping pong tables and fresh orange juice on tap. That's a good life. Well, back then I thought it was. So I took the role and I started working. I came in early every morning, I left late every night. I wanted to make sure that I was making impact and I was creating a difference for my client. But I was also the most junior person on my team. And day in, day out, I started to realize that I wasn't seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. I felt like I was just doing the same things and having no value there. I mean, I was the most junior person on the team. So I decided instead that I would make value by taking risk. And I took one of the biggest risks that I could for one of the largest technology companies in the world. And it didn't work out so well. So a couple weeks later, I was fired from my dream job. Wild. Here I am, back at the bottom of the totem pole, fired from the #1 ad agency in the world, a kid that a day after college didn't have a job, a kid that built a company and had it torn out from under him, a kid that was fired from a place that he should have loved. But you see, that last time when I was at the bottom of the totem pole, I didn't feel so bad. In fact, I felt some gratitude, because every day I remember going there, and I remember not wanting to be there. I had built this company. I knew how to move things forward, but yet nobody had any appreciation for that because I was too young. I was too junior. I knew that I wanted to make impact. I knew I wanted to use business to do it, but what was I doing at an agency to try and do that? So we moved through it, and I'm thinking, damn, what am I going to do next? I have gratitude that I got fired because I would have never had the courage to leave on my own, but I'm still kind of sad because I failed again, right? What do I tell my mom? How do I take that back home? I'm at the same place I was the day after graduation in that sense. What do I tell my friends and family? I just blogged about being there. The article went viral. Everybody knows I'm there. They're all excited about it. They're like, oh, those guys built all this cool stuff. So I decided to handle it like a proper adult. I quit life and I hop on the next flight to Colombia. No friends, no plans, and no pesos. It's just me, my backpack, and Cartagena, Colombia. See, I hopped on that flight and I was thinking to myself, wow, this sucks. I spent all this time working so hard because I wanted to make a life worth living. I wanted that linear life where I had a good job, found a good wife, had some good kids, had a nice little golden retriever with a white picket fence. Really expensive in New York. Don't come if you want that. But it wasn't working out for me. See, serendipity must have hit, because on that flight next to me was a man who wanted to start a company and had tons of ideas, but didn't know where to begin. And so I just started chatting with him. We started just shooting it around, and I started dialoguing about product market fit, startups in the space, things that he should take forward, these ideas that he should stop thinking about because he was going to get really broke if he did them. We were having a great conversation, and by the end of it, he recognized that I was really good at business and that I was really smart on my feet. He told me, wow, you have all these cool experiences. He looked at my LinkedIn. You have cool experiences. How are you still on the market? I said, I don't know. That's what I've been asking. And then he said, you know what? I can't leave my job because I've got too much expenses, but I really think this idea is a cool one. I want to take a shot at it. Why don't you go ahead and start this company for me? I'm like, all right, that's fine. I'm not broke anyway. Might as well do it. So 14 days pass, I go back to New York, we sign a contract, and we kick off the first partnership that I've ever had with a client. Now, this is the beginning of StartupMIG, my company, that works to help people that have ideas within industry take those and turn them into realities, to create more green light moments for people that can't take on that risk right now. It's been an exciting journey. We've done so much to help new business create, and while we're starting new business, we're also educating these founders on how to be thoughtful about their society and the people around them, and how to give back. But they're not social enterprises. See, the difference for me is that I believe business across the scope has a responsibility to their community, that business should solve problems and not create them. And that's for all business, from the small ones to the multinationals. It's been exciting. The company's been great. Just last month, we published with the United Nations together an article or publication around innovation and entrepreneurship and how innovation and business and entrepreneurship can change the world and solve some of our greatest challenges while still making money, doing good and doing well. I would have never gotten here had I not been the kid that didn't have a job the day after college. And when I thought about it, the kid the day after college was drastically different than the kid flying to Cartagena to escape his problems. See, I think looking back that there were 4 things that really helped me and held me steady. And I didn't know it at the time, but travel has helped me see the world in a way that I would have never experienced it. Serendipity. I worked hard, but these things were just out of my control. And at the right times, they all kind of came together. Flexibility. Being okay with things not necessarily going the way we planned it, the way I planned it. Not having that linear line, the way my mom wanted me to. And most of all, my friends. See, sometimes we call those people our networks. We say we're networking. But I think what we should be doing is building relationships and making friends and asking, how can we help? Because those are meaningful connections. And those connections are the ones that drive our society forward. And just like my mom helped out those other moms, I have the opportunity to help the people around me. And we grow together. And they're really what hold me together and hold me up. See, these 4 things have been my principle and my values. And they're going to be different for all of us. I'm sure all of you face challenges. I'm sure life's not easy. I mean, it gets difficult. But I believe that if we embrace uncertainty and try and make ourselves okay with failing and not having the answer, that we find our why, our how, and our what much faster. And as a society, we live better. After all, the people that start here and end up here, the ones that we look up to, the women that we love, the men that we aspire to be, they're all folks that lived a crazy, crazy life. They're just like us. And if we embrace failure, we can get there. Thank you.